It was so successful. The big question is, did it make a difference? Would I have been president? You know, a lot of people say they created this guy from The Apprentice.
And he would get on. And no matter what I asked him, he would answer.
Yes.
In a very sincere and thought out way. I'd say, Donald, and I'd always call him Mr. Trump. He liked.
But I was on his show a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, he has a best of. Did you ever see the best of Howard Stern? I don't want to promote it necessarily, but I was there for just about all of them, the best of. We had good shows, it was good, but he's changed and, you know, he doesn't do the ratings anymore.
She's incredibly attractive. These are the exact words Trump used about Princess Diana that finally pushed Howard Stern over the edge. After years of friendship and dozens of radio appearances, it wasn't politics that turned Stern against Trump. It was his creepy obsession with a grieving royal. Remember when Trump and Stern were buddies who'd laugh about women's bodies on air? That friendship crashed and burned, and now Stern is using Trump's own words to humiliate him on national TV. The Princess Diana comments were just the beginning of what Stern has in his arsenal, and Trump is fuming about what might come out next. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Remember when Donald Trump and Howard Stern were media besties?
Then he went woke.
Yeah.
And since he's gone woke, his ratings have gone down the tubes, and he sort of went anti-Trump for a couple of reasons. They wanted to renew me for 5 years. They were all set to do it, and I didn't want to do it. I said I wanted to run for president, but I was on his show a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, he has a best of. Did you ever see the best of Howard Stern? I don't want to promote it necessarily, but
If I ask you some names, can you tell me who the great beauties are? He goes, first of all, straight face. The great beauties, Howard, are not actresses.
They giggle like high schoolers talking about hot ladies on the radio, rating women on a scale of 1 to 10 and making comments that would make your grandma faint. But that friendship has crashed and burned, and it all comes down to a princess. For years, Howard Stern absolutely loved having Trump on his show. He called Trump one of his top 5 guests of all time because the guy would literally say anything on air. No filter, no shame, just pure uncut Trump nonsense flowing through the airwaves. It was radio gold, 2 rich dudes being gross together while America listened in. But even shock jocks have their limits, and Trump managed to cross a line that made even Howard Stern uncomfortable, which is really saying something considering Stern built his whole career on being outrageous. Trump developed this weird obsession with Princess Diana that gave Stern the creeps. Before her tragic death in 1997, Trump went on Stern's show and delivered this gem about the beloved princess. She had the height, the beauty, she had the skin, the whole thing. She's crazy. Just reducing one of the most admired women in the world to a collection of body parts like she was a luxury car he wanted to test drive.
like Howard, I was on Howard Stern show as much as anybody, and
Yeah.
he was great at that time, and had The Apprentice for 12 years,
Oh, I know.
14 seasons, but 12 years, a lot of time. It was so successful. The big question is, did it make a difference? Would I have been president? You know, a lot of people say they created this guy from The Apprentice.
Like that. I'd say, Mr. Trump, tell me, who are the great beauties?
But it gets worse. Trump couldn't just admire Diana from afar like a normal person with a celebrity crush. Nope. He had to brag about how he would have nailed Princess Diana, but, and this is the classy part, only after making her take an HIV test first. Seriously, he said this about a woman who was beloved worldwide for her humanitarian work, a mother of 2 young princes, and someone whose death triggered global mourning. At first, Stern did what Stern always did. He laughed along with Trump's outrageous comments. That was their whole shtick. But something about Trump's Diana obsession hit different. While Stern built his brand on being shocking, even he recognized there was something genuinely disturbing about Trump's fixation on a deceased princess. This wasn't just Trump's usual behavior of rating supermodels or talking about which actress was hot. This was him sexualizing a woman who had died tragically, a humanitarian who had dedicated her life to helping others. And it revealed something about Trump's character that Stern couldn't unsee. A complete lack of respect for women that went beyond locker room talk into something darker. Stern, for all his shock jock history, has lines he won't cross.
And he would get on, and no matter what I asked him, he would answer.
Yes.
In a very sincere and thought out way. I'd say, Donald, and I'd always call him Mr. Trump. He loves. So, I'd say, well, Donald, I think Angelina Jolie is a great beauty. 7. It's models and a lot of these girls who work in the, anyone who works in the entertainment industry, really, I've only seen 6s and 7s. To me, a guest who comes on and says anything that is in his mind is a great guest.
And Trump's comments about Diana, treating her like a potential sexual conquest even after her death, finally showed Stern who Trump really was. Not just a guy who says outrageous things for laughs, but someone with a fundamental inability to see women as anything more than objects for his satisfaction. It was Trump's callous reduction of Diana to someone he would have nailed after an HIV test that finally turned the tide in their friendship. Stern couldn't ignore that this man he'd been palling around with for years was revealing himself to be someone who would disrespect a beloved deceased princess just to boost his own ego. Even for Howard Stern, that was too much.
And they wanted to do a 5-year extension. I said, no, that's actually when I knew I was going to do it. And I love doing The Apprentice. Mark Burnett, who's a great guy, and the producer and all of the people from NBC, everybody came up to see me to talk me out of running. I was there for just about all of them, the best of. We had good shows, it was good, but he's changed and he doesn't do the ratings anymore. I don't know if that's true because they chose me because of the success. They said it's not possible to win. Nobody's ever done that. And nobody ever gives up primetime show. It was a big hit.
As their friendship crumbled, Stern was left holding a treasure trove of recordings, years of Trump saying whatever popped into his head without thinking about consequences. And Trump had no idea that these recordings would eventually become weapons used against him. His own words coming back to haunt him years later when he decided to enter politics. Now what we're witnessing is the ultimate revenge story. The bromance that once filled radio airwaves with crude jokes has transformed into Trump's worst nightmare. Howard Stern isn't just an ex-friend, he's become the keeper of Trump's most embarrassing moments, armed with recordings that make Donald squirm. And boy, is Trump mad about it. He's been having public tantrums, calling Stern a washed-up hack and claiming he's gone woke with ratings that have gone down the tubes. Poor Trumpy is furious that someone who knows all his dirty laundry isn't afraid to air it out. The irony is delicious. The man who can't stop running his mouth is now being destroyed by his own words. All those years of bragging and boasting have come back to bite him right in his oversized ego. Turns out Trump's kryptonite wasn't a political mastermind or a brilliant strategist. It was just his inability to shut up about princesses when the microphone was on.